Alright guys, so what you heard there was the pared down version of the Helix, the tone I hear in my head preset. I had a ton of requests after releasing that one to try to get it into the HX Stomp, so I worked hard to do that, and my primary goal in doing so was to get the delay and reverb right. In this style of music, if you don't get the delay and reverb right, you're missing a lot, and might be missing the mark like entirely. You know, it's such a huge part of the tone that we use, so that was my primary goal. Then moving on from that, right, I wanted to get a good drive tone, good boost tone, and then start adding some variety. So there's different presets that cover that variety. And, you know, we have chorus and my attempt at emulating the Destroyer on the Strymon Mobius, tremolo. You have like a good compression setting. That was the goal there, is to provide some variety there. Now, if you have like a, you know, like an external foot switch for the HX Stomp, you could navigate a set using these different presets to introduce some variety into your tone. So I think that'll work well. Also included in this pack is that 40 block favorite folder, right? So it's over 40 of my favorite effects and favorite settings. So if I, you know, like I mentioned in the Helix video, if you want to watch that, I go into like a lot of detail about this preset. But, you know, if I tuned a pedal in the Helix, or the HX Stomp in this case, if I tuned a block to sound like one of my favorite overdrive pedals, I've saved that as a favorite. If I've tuned a reverb to sound like one of my favorite reverbs in the Big Sky, I've saved that as a favorite. So now you can take those out of the favorites folder and drop them in and make your own presets. Same thing with amps and cabs and EQs and stuff like that. So I hope you find that helpful. And again, the chief goal behind all of this is to help us think less about tone and freeing our minds up in that way to worship Christ, to think more on Him, to dwell more on Him. And I feel like with these digital devices, that can be really hard because there's so much that we can tweak. There's so many knobs that we can turn. There's so many, you know, things that we can buy, and it's just, man, it's almost maddening sometimes. So to get a good jumping off point like this, I think can be really helpful. And that was really my primary goal in making the Helix preset, was to give people that I care about, right? Give you guys a good jumping off point with this stuff, and to also kind of teach you how I would approach tone if I had one tone to bring to the table. So again, I don't want to go into everything that I went in the Helix video. You can watch that one if you're a Stomp user to get an idea for the preset and the why behind the preset, I guess. Now, I use all stock HX cabs for this stuff. I don't use any IRs. I think the stock HX cabs are awesome, and they provide some really good flexibility with doing like surgical cuts, you know, to cut out all the bad and leave the good. So I've done that to the best of my ability, and I love the way they came out. So pretty easy just to load them up and get going. And before we do that, so before we start demonstrating the presets here, I do use snapshot mode on the Stomp. So if you buy them, make sure that you turn your Stomp to snapshot mode. These also will work in the Stomp XL. I only have 3 snapshots programmed in the Stomp, so that just leaves you room to add one more if you'd like. So whatever you think that would be, it'd be helpful for you to add one more, feel free to do so. Let's just start off with a good bass tone. This is snapshot 1 from GFHG Comp Boost, and here we go. Because you have to get creative with the HX Stomp, you know, limited DSP to work with. I decided to use the Tweed amp because it doesn't take up as much DSP and allows you to run stereo amps, which is really nice. In doing so, you get a little bit more of that crackle, and I tend to like it. I don't know if everybody does, but I think the majority of people do, because that's part of the, like, the beauty and some of the uniqueness of the, you know, kind of the ethereal worship guitar tone, is that artifacting, and it buries itself in a mix pretty good, but it lends some character, I guess, to the tone. So now I'll jump up to snapshot 2, which is the boost setting, and this one borderlines on boost and light gain, just all depends on how hard you pick. So picking dynamics are going to be key here. because, again, limited DSP, have to get creative. So you, on this one, decided to kind of walk the line between clean boost and light gain. So vary your picking dynamics, and you can get either one. We'll start with the neck pick up here to show that it's got a good amount of bite when you need it. Now, if you dig in some more, you'll get more of like an overdriven tone. Now you can use that for chords too. Now we'll jump up to snapshot 3, which is the biggest one of them all. It's for the, you know, hey, we're in a massive part of the song, so I need a massive tone to match that. So that's like the base tone that the presets are built on. And then as you go through the other presets, they start to add modulation. So you can mix and match these as you wish and as you go through the set. So here's one that attempts to emulate the Destroyer setting in the Mobius, which if you've watched my videos, you know that I love the Destroyer. And in the Helix video I made, the equivalent of this one, I admitted, you know, I probably tend to overuse it, but I had to have a preset that sounded like that, I guess. So here's that. Then you move that up to the boost. Then of course, once you get into snapshot 3, the modulation goes away, but of course you can add it back in if you'd like. The next one is the same concept, it just adds tremolo instead of the Destroyer effect. Now this next one adds a dual delay. I love having dual delay too. It's a great option, so I want to make sure that was accessible for us too. I'm going to start with the boost setting on this one. That one's got some muscle. Now this one sticks with the modulation theme, it just adds chorus instead. There you have it. I hope those demonstrations were helpful. And again, the goal was to utilize the DSP and the stomp in the best way possible to nail the delay and reverb. It's such a huge part of the tone these days and, you know, modern worship music. And if we don't get the delay and reverb right, if we miss the mark on that, I feel like we just missed the mark, period. You know, so my goal was to take the methodology that I used from the Helix preset, the tone I hear in my head, and stuff that into the stomp as best as possible. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So if you end up picking these up, I hope they're useful for you. Can teach you a little bit about maybe dialing them in and give you some great jumping off points. Keep in mind as well, there's that favorites pack included that has over 40 of my favorite blocks that you can kind of, you know, mix and match and copy and paste and build your own presets with. If you want to check it out, there's a link in the description down below. Otherwise, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Love you. See you.